The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, greetings. Welcome to another presentation in this public service nation building series, The Law and You. This is program number 956. Coming to you on Monday the 9th of December 2019. On this program I will speak to you on the topic, the restriction on the publication of names. And I want to get into that topic with the only preliminary being the usual condolences to all families which have suffered the recent bereavements. Restriction on the publication of names. Now, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as in many other countries, most of the countries, in fact, there is a restriction on the right of newspapers and the media generally in publishing the names of persons involved in various criminal matters in the High Court. That restriction came about many years ago abroad. It didn't begin here in St. Vincent. We simply adopted it as part of the growing state of affairs. But it closely follows the presumption of innocence, which is a hallowed principle in our constitutional law. Our Constitution says that a person charged with a criminal offense shall be presumed to be innocent until his guilt has been established in a court of law. And the publication of the name of a person who has been charged with an offense before that charge has been heard and determined, if it results in the acquittal of that person, means that the person whose name has been associated with a particular criminal offense carries a stain, sometimes for the rest of his life. So I want to take you to our laws to show you what is the position currently in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I want to take as my starting point Section 11 of the Family Court Act. Speaking about the family court, how many of us remember that January next year would be the 25th anniversary of the opening of the family court in this country. The Family Court Act was passed in 1992, but it came into effect in January 1995. That's when the court started upstairs to the Lyric Building. And therefore, the 25th anniversary of the family court will happen in January next year, DV. Namely, next month. The Family Court Act in Section 11 says, restriction on publication. Subsection 1. No person shall print, publish, or broadcast or cause or procure to be printed, published, or broadcast the names and addresses or any particulars relating to proceedings concerning A, maintenance or other domestic matters, B, juveniles, C, the victims of sexual offenses. Subsection 2. A person who contravenes this section commits an offense and on summary conviction is liable to a fine not exceeding $500 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months. Subsection 3. Notwithstanding the provision of subsection 1, the following particulars may be published or printed. A concise statement of the charges, defenses, and countercharges in support of which evidence has been given. B, submission on any point of law arising in the course of such proceedings and the decision of the court thereon. C, summing up and the judgment of the court. Subsection 4. Nothing in this section shall prohibit the printing or publishing of any matter in a newspaper or periodical of a technical character, bona fide intended for circulation among members of the legal profession or medical profession. That was the state of play when the family court took effect. Now, the Family Court Act itself contained the amendments to several other acts. And if you look at the second schedule to the Family Court Act 1992, which is now Chapter 25, you will see in Section 8 of the schedule that the Criminal Code of 1988 was amended to fit itself into the family court in a certain respect, as you will hear. So, the principal act was amended by inserting next after Section 3 the following as Section 3A, Family Court, and this has been inserted into the Criminal Code. Subsection 1. Notwithstanding the provisions of the Criminal Procedure Code and of this Act or any other law, as from the commencement of the Family Court Act 1992, the following matters shall fall under the sole jurisdiction of the Family Court. A, summary trials of all sexual offenses as defined in Chapter 8. B, preliminary inquiries in relation to sexual offenses as defined in Chapter 8, tried on indictment. C, preliminary inquiries of all offenses tried on indictment where the defendant or any one of several defendants charged jointly is under the age of 18. And subsection 2 is consequential. So that if persons, well, There's a blanket prohibition on the names of victims. Let us get that out of the way. You cannot identify the victim of an offense falling within this particular regime. So a lady has been raped, molested, and a trial is held, people are arrested and charged, you cannot call her name. Also, if among those who are charged there are persons under the age of 18 years, you cannot call their names. Understand that. You cannot publicize the names of persons under 18 charged with certain sexual offenses. And we'll come on to those very, very shortly. So this amendment refers us to Chapter 8 of the Criminal Code. Let us go now to the Criminal Code and see what are the laws included in Chapter 8. And I will simply read them from the index. The first is Section 123, rape. Section 124, intercourse with a girl under 13. Section 125, intercourse with a girl under 15. Section 126, intercourse with a defective. 127, indecent assault. 128, indecency with a child. 129, permitting a girl under 15 to use premises for intercourse. 130, causing or encouraging prostitution, etc., of a girl under 15. Section 131, causing prostitution of a woman. 132, detention in a brothel. 133, man living on earnings of prostitution. Section 134, woman exercising control over prostitute. 135, living on earnings of male prostitute. I'm reading the sexual offenses in Chapter 8 of the Criminal Code. To continue, the 136, keeping at a brothel. 137, letting premises for use as a brothel. 138, procurement of a woman by threats. 139, procurement of a woman by false pretenses. 140, administering drugs to facilitate intercourse. 141, power to search for detained woman. 142, incest by a man. 143, divesting of authority. 144, incest by a woman. 145, the test of relationship in incest. 146, buggery. 147, assault with intent to commit buggery. And 148, indecent practices between persons of the same sex. These are the sexual offenses set out in Chapter 8 of the Criminal Code of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So just to go back to the family law, section 11. To refresh your memories, section 11 says, no person shall print, publish, or broadcast, or cause or procure to be printed, published, or broadcast the names and addresses or any particulars relating to proceedings concerning A, maintenance or other domestic matters, B, juveniles, C, the victims of sexual offenses, and subsection 2, a person who contravenes this section commits an offense, and on summary conviction is liable to a fine not exceeding $500 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months. And there is an exception for bare statements as to principles of law arising in the case, submissions, and points of law. And there is an exception for publication in technical journals, bona fide intended for circulation among members of the legal profession or the medical profession. So that if you come across a news article purporting to be a report of arrests and the charges following the commission of a sexual offense, and that publication contains the name of any victim, then that publication would have been published unlawfully. If the publication contains the name of any person charged with the offense who is 18 or over, then an offense would also have been committed. I would therefore caution publishing houses, including, of course, newspapers, radio stations, television stations, and so on, that they should keep close to their lawyers, their legal advisors. And in any case of doubt, where they feel they want to publish a name, but they are not sure whether in doing so they would be breaking the law or not, they should consult the legal advisor to the publication for guidance. And it may not be easy for you to get on to your lawyer at short notice all the time. But even senior persons concerned with the publication, if you can't get hold of the lawyer, senior persons in that publishing house should be able to pool their experience and express an opinion as to whether they are likely to run into trouble for publishing the name or whether they think it's going to be okay. The point is, these are days when we are in the open era where news is concerned. Social media is very active and news spreads very rapidly. Indeed, it is often said that if you want to hear what is going on in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, check out somebody in Brooklyn because they seem to get news faster than we get it here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. People go on their devices and they get in touch with their acquaintances, and some are not even their acquaintances, with the whole world, if it's a case of a publication like Facebook. And they repeat things which they have heard. Now, in a lot of cases, what they repeat on the social media may well be accurate. I'm not saying they're always wrong. But there are few cases in which they get the details wrong. Now, as we know, the legal system moves slowly. In fact, too slowly for most people. So that if a story breaks, you hear of a case of an alleged gang rape, there is no problem waiting for a day or two or even 3 to check out the facts, check out whether it is going to be within the law to publish this or that detail, or whether it's going to be outside the law. You can wait, because it's going to take months before the case is heard. So there's no hurry to get the story out tomorrow. You may say, well, you are competing with others, but competition cannot give way to accuracy. So it's better to wait and ascertain whether you are going to be doing the right thing or whether you're going to be breaking the law, to know where you stand. Sometimes the details you read about an incident are far different from what the real details are. And occasionally, people's names are publicized willy-nilly, and eventually the case is heard, they are acquitted. Or they might be acquitted of the serious charges and get convicted of the lesser charges. But the media is not really interested in acquittals. It's more juicy when somebody gets convicted and gets sent to jail. But if somebody gets off, you forget that. But the damage may have been done to the character of what may turn out to have been an innocent person. So by all means, let us go about our business, whether we are in the news media business or whether we are simply consumers of news. But I am simply urging us all to be cautious, to try to understand when we are on the edge of violating the law, to have a responsible attitude that if something is going to be a violation, you simply don't do it. You get legal advice in due course, so that whenever you put something on the media and we the readers read it, we could have a sense that what is written is reasonably accurate and it is within the law. Okay? So that is all from this program of The Law and You. Restriction on the publication of names. I hope what I have said would cause those who are of an honest disposition, a law-abiding disposition, to be careful how they go about their professional work. And I would caution all of us, when we read stories or hear stories, no matter how lurid, don't be quick to jump to conclusions and believe the first version we have heard or read. Ultimately, if a trial comes off, the facts will come out in the trial. All right? All right, well, here is wishing us safe and happy preparations for the Christmas season. Wishing all the organizations involved in night mourning and in other aspects of the festive season all the very best, and looking forward to being of further service to you next week, Monday TV, for another presentation in this public service nation building series, The Law and You. Do have a pleasant week, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, and may the good Lord continue to bless us all.
The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC, and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.